Baby, I do. Baby, I do. Baby, I do. And for the rest of my life, I wanna spend every night doing whatever you like. And if you say that.
This is my wife, Anika Delise Gupton, and she ran track at Park University in Parkville, Missouri, and that's where we met.
This is my beautiful wife, Keisha. She does ultrasound for a living. She is a pretty energetic, fun person. She basically is the driving force with our family and relationship.
This is my lovely wife, Vicky Winkfield. We've been married for 25 years. She's a unit manager with the corrections in Georgia State Corrections. Say something good about me. She's the love of my life. We met in the military. I can remember our first date. She's my world. We have 3 beautiful kids. She gave me 3 beautiful kids. Of course, we have our ups and downs, but we always, through communications, we always come together. You know, we make it. It's hard to.
Okay, good job.
This is Christopher Corey Gupton. We call him Corey. He's my husband. I've known him for since 2006, so that's 12 years. We've been married for almost 6, and he's 35, and he's from Michigan. He's a God-fearing man. He's a very dependable person, and he has integrity, and that's what I really like about him.
And this is my wonderful husband, Nick Lovarian Torrance. And we have been married a solid 18 years. He is a father, a fun guy most of the time, a great friend, a great son, great grandson, a great nephew. I mean, he's just an awesome guy all around. And to me, he just stands for strength. He is the rock in the family.
This is my wonderful husband, Willie Winkfield. And as he said before, we've been married for 25 years. I met this handsome, outstanding, wonderful man in the military, in the Army. He was a dental assistant, right?
Yes.
And he was working on my mouth. And the way I met him was being aggressive because he was timid. And I had to keep making me some dental appointments. And when he wasn't there, I would just cancel and reschedule. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So the group in the dental clinic started to learn that I was interested. So sometimes I'd walk in there and they would say, "He's not here, you want to reschedule?" Yes, I do. And the first 2 years were not easy.
Not easy.
But as the years, we stuck through it, and we're 25 years later, we're still together. And I love him more than I did when I first met him.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Yes, you're awesome.
What she said too. Much closer to me. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So we met at a friend's house. Nick and I met at a friend's house. What it was, and he might tell this story different. This is how I see the story. I was invited over to the friend's house for dinner. I went over for dinner. I did see Nick But I kept walking because I was there for dinner. I made a straight beeline to the kitchen because that's what I do. Went to the kitchen, walked past him, and it wasn't until I walked back out of the kitchen and was walking up the stairs that I actually locked eyes with him. So that's kind of where it all began. So we met through mutual friends. How do you see it?
Well, that's close. I'll let you have that one. But it was at a friend's house, a mutual friend.
We met at Park University. We went to the college down in Parkville, Missouri. And I think it was about 2006. We were at, first there was a Bible study for the campus group. And I'd see her come through different times when she'd run track. And they'd pass through the halls or up the road going to practices when I was going to basketball practice and even in lunchrooms sometimes. But we never really connected often then. We just, said hey to each other, saw each other here and there occasionally. But relationship started pretty subtly.
Our marriage, I don't think our marriage is traditional. And I say that because I think the past, when we first began our marriage, from when we first got to know each other, those first 2 years, I think that knocked out the traditional, because when we started to learn each other and started to trust more, I feel like the traditional part kind of went out of it, because once you have that trust, you can just be yourself. And as we both, the way we raised our kids is we want them to talk about everything. We don't hold bar, what they say.
Oh yeah, we don't hold nothing back.
We don't hold nothing back. We don't sugarcoat it. We just say what it is. And a lot of families, or husband and wife, are uncomfortable talking to their kids about whether it's sex or their choice, their lifestyle, or whatever it is. And we just raised ours to let them know, be you. We love you no matter what. Now, if it's against something that we don't agree with, guess what? That's something we can talk about. So that's why I say we're not traditional.
Yeah, no subject was off limits when it came to our children, me and Vicky. So, it's definitely not traditional. Not traditional at all. So.
Yes, we believe in the traditional sense of marriage, husband and wife as one, working together, 100%. And just doing everything, trying to do everything in order. We are advocates of what the Bible says, and we like to implement that and just live a life, living with fun, enjoy each other, communicate, and just looking, setting goals, looking forward to the future.
Yes and no. Traditionally, yes and no. Yes, in the sense of yes, we are. Husband and wife, we believe in God as the head of our family. Corey is the head of my little family, and then I'm the neck. And no, in a sense, is in we are equal, but I know that he's the head. I'm not sure if that makes any sense. So some things I do better than him, and he just lets me do my thing, and vice versa. So I'm not sure if that's really traditional. Some people have had separate accounts. We do everything together. We know exactly what's going on. Sometimes I'll start a sentence, he'll finish. I don't know if that's very traditional, but in the sense that we work together, we have the same goals. I don't think I would be tired of seeing him if we work together all day. So that's not very traditional. So
I don't think that we have a traditional marriage, no. We're probably anything but traditional. The things that we do involves a lot of trust. It has some elements like of traditional values, but we're way outside the box when it comes to our relationship and the things that we like to do and things we just don't feel the same as other folks do about our relationship. So
And I agree with that. We do not have a traditional marriage because we are neither of us are traditional people. So we can't have a traditional marriage because both of us are so outside the box. For instance, we both used to travel, doing ultrasound travel for a living, which meant that we lived in a different city every 3 months, literally moved every 3 months, and we loved it. But all of our friends thought we were nuts because everybody's like, y'all married? How can y'all do that? And what if something happens? But we try not to live life on what if something happens. We try to live according to how we feel and what makes us happy. So I think that's what makes us non-traditional. For instance, I'm getting ready to start PA school in May, which is next month, in which I will be moving to Jacksonville, Florida to go to school. And Nick and the kids will be staying here in Atlanta. And he is fully supportive of me with it. He wants me to live out my dream. And I know that no other friend of mine has a husband that will support her in this, especially having children. That man would not want to stay home with 3 children. But Nick is fine. He's totally capable and able to handle the kids on his own, and he wants me to do this for the family because we're going to have a better life after I'm done, and he's seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, in which a lot of men could only see, what's directly in front of them. So totally non-traditional, and I thank God for it.
And not being traditional, we're passionate about each other now.
Yeah.
I don't think we were in the beginning, but
I was. Yeah, I was very
first 2
passionate.
years you was passionate?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I give you that. I give him that because that's how he got me. Because in the beginning, like just dating, he used to bring me flowers, candies, on the job, and
Still do that too.
you been at my job?
Not your job.
Okay, right. But he still wooed me, and
Oh yeah, she's very like traditional. I cook most of the time. I cook. I do the laundry. When we do cook, I do the cooking. I do the laundry. I just when she come home, all she had to do is relax.
That's true.
I do the inside and the outside. So I just like taking care of my queen.
Yes. Yeah, he does a wonderful job.
3 core values that hold our marriage together would, for me, be...
What are 3 core values that hold in our marriage together?
Our faith absolutely does in Christ, and then also our love, with each other and communication. Family, we enjoy family, so that's definitely both sides of the family. We have love for each other and like to do things together, travel, and just have that wholesome type of environment, and pretty much implement that for our household. So we definitely enjoy that.
And, we have the same values as choruses, and our faith, I think that's the biggest thing because certain ideas we just don't entertain. So, there have been times when I had to, like last year, I was working out of town in Texas for 6 months. Yeah. And, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, you've left your husband alone, oh my gosh. Oh, he's fine. I'm like, yeah, I know he's fine. I know, that's the reason why I got married to him. That's not the only reason, but, I didn't think that, oh my gosh, he's there by himself, he's going to cheat. That has never entered my mind because I think when you're grounded in Christ and you know each other and you trust each other and there's just that, I guess that deep trust and that connection, then certain things are just don't entertain. I said all of that to say that's one of the foundational things, I guess. Principles about our marriage, and I think that's the foundation. That's a solid foundation, really. So, again, we don't even give thought to certain things, and we communicate. We respect each other. We're not always on the same page, but we communicate. Or I will never say certain things to Core. I think he will never say certain things to me in terms of like name callings and stuff like. We just don't do that. I think there comes a point where you just. It's a decision. Yeah,
we just talk it out rather than argue.
We just talk it out. And sometimes I want to hear what he wants to say all the time, but he's very low key, very laid back all the time. And I'm like, oh my gosh, let's do this. And he's like, okay. And sometimes I don't even want to hear it, but, you know, I'm like, okay. Use wisdom and, you know, listen and, you know, think about it. And, I mean, it always works out.
Absolutely.
Trust.
Communication.
Trust, communication, love. Trust, communication, and love. Trust. Now, in the beginning, trust was an issue. You agree?
Mm-hmm.
And it was more on whose part?
Was it mine?
Lack of. I own that.
I think communication.
I had some trust issues. But I think, you know, a lot of that goes into, you know, the way you're raised and your background, and then when you're in your relationship and learning the person. And I think I did have some trust issues, but it took some stuff for me to get through to learn that this guy here only mean the best, you know, only want the best for me. But as far as trust, I know those first 2 years were
I felt communication, that our communication is in a real great place now. But like you said, in 2 years, that communication wasn't.
It wasn't, because, you know, we were young. And how old were you again? 27. I was 20. I was 25. But I think because we were young, I think that when he says communication, of course, when you get with somebody and you were single and you used to going when you want to go, doing what you want to do, not, you know, answering to nobody, and then you end up in a relationship with someone, and now you're supposed to communicate, talk to somebody. If you're not going to be home at a certain time, you need to let the person know.
Yeah.
If things change, you need to communicate with that person. And I think in the beginning of those first 2 years, now our own minds, I know for a fact that trust, communication, and the love was there, but it wasn't really shown. And I think that had a lot to do with how young we were, or how stubborn we were, or how selfish I was. And like I said, I can own all that now, but it took a lot of growing to get to that point. And then it took for him putting his foot down that day.
Yeah.
He did. He put his foot down, and I thought I was going to lose him. So that kind of woke me up.
Yeah, also communicate, yeah. I was kind of lazy when I got out the military. I didn't want to work, not find a good job. And so that kind of made things a little rough too. But we worked out hard at it, so yeah. Like I said, the communication and the love and the trust is there.
Honesty, integrity, which a lot of people think are the same things, but I was talking with someone yesterday, and the difference were explained to me. Honesty would be to tell the truth. Integrity would be to tell the truth when no one's watching. So for me, honesty and integrity are incorporated into our marriage, as well as the love. The love of it has held everything together, because we've been through so many things in 18 years. Family issue, deaths, loss, all types of things, as well as some great things have happened in our marriage. But I think the love that we've both shared for each other over that 18 years is what's truly held us together.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. Love would probably be first. We've been through a lot, so that I definitely would put first on the list. So honesty is it's really big. I mean, you know, you can't do much without that, so I would say honesty too. And I think we're probably just compatible. That would be my third thing. She's almost like the yin and the yang. I don't know how to say it, but Yeah, usually where I'm not as strong, she's pretty strong in those areas, and I can pick up the slack where she's weak. So we bounce off each other, and we actually do really well together. So
When you get to good communication, I'll say effective communication. Because anybody can communicate, but if it's not effective, then y'all just talking at each other. So I think the way that you get to that is first, of course, through living together and learning each other and knowing when to talk and when not to talk. Sometimes, especially when emotions get involved, when you're right or you feel like you're right in the conversation and it's going back and forth and they feel like they're right, but you feel like you're right. So if both of you are trying to get your points across, it's never going to be settled. So then when the same thing come up again, nobody's listening. So everybody just trying to get that point across. Nobody's, sitting back and saying, okay, let me just sit back and listen to their point of view. But the way that you get to the being effective is by being considerate and by listening.
Yes.
God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason, because He wants us to do more listening than speaking. Mm-hmm. And if you can do that, if you can get past trying to have the last word and get past trying to win the conversation, then you're actually here that most times you're saying the same thing. You're just saying it in a different way.
Yeah, get to effective communication. That's something I'm still working on, because I always think I know everything.
I'm glad he said it.
I have to admit, I do. I look back and I always, try to think like I'm Mr. Encyclopedia or Google.
Tell the truth now.
And so when I'm wrong, I always come back and let her know that I was wrong. And I think that's also helps communication, admitting that when you're wrong. So a lot of people don't want to admit when they're wrong. So that helps with communication also.
Yeah, and when you got both sides, because it's not like work anymore, because he's not perfect, and by him admitting his wrongs, and then I know I'm not perfect, so it makes it easier for me to admit when I'm wrong because he'll do it. But if it was only one-sided, then I would never feel like I need to admit my wrong, because I feel like he ain't listening to me, he ain't always right. And so I'm not going to admit I'm wrong. He ain't going to admit him wrong. So if you get stuck in that cycle, then you're never going to get to the base of the problem, the good communication, the effective communication. You're never going to get to it. And then you're going to grow apart because neither one of you are listening. So the way that you grow closer together throughout the years is by listening and being considerate. Yeah. So my baby, he now listens, and he also admits when he's wrong. So sometimes, and he does, I'm glad to hear him really, I'm just really grateful, thank you Jesus, to hear my baby admit that, he don't know everything.
I do. I think I do.
And it's not just me. We got friends that say, he think he know everything, don't he? And but he's gotten much better, you really have.
I do have a lot of knowledge.
He well, just follow him. You'll see what he's talking about on Facebook. But
I keep people entertained though.
Yes, you do. But I think both sides being able to own their imperfections and listen to each other, and like even if I was wrong and he's right, being that him comforting me through that, sometimes that helps. Sure. And he'll say something, even though I was wrong, he'll come around and say, well, it could have been like that. It could have been that, or it could have been that, even though he know, but he's just trying to make me feel better. That go a long way. And that just really makes me want to go out my way to, make things smooth. Yeah. I appreciate you, baby.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
Yeah, I did ask for my wife's hand in marriage. Um, it happened a little sooner than I was ready for. I mean, I already had bought a ring, but she tried to force my hand a little bit, and I don't know what her plan was. I really didn't have a plan myself, but it did happen, and I initiated it. So, yeah, that's how it went.
I did actually pretty quickly when I went to talked with her father, and we were out in, I believe we were out in Alabama, I believe. Yeah, out in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama, and rather quickly moved after doing that. Proposed to her. We're at the hotel room, and she went out the room. Then I came back, had the ring and everything ready. And when she opened the door, and I was behind the door on one knee, she opened it. She like almost was lost for words after I proposed. That was kind of a fun moment, thinking back on there. And we moved in, pretty cool. It was a blessing. I procrastinated a little bit on moving to the step, but we definitely feel that we made the right choice.
I was possibly expecting a proposal from Nick, but I wasn't sure when he was planning on pulling the trigger on it. I was about to graduate from college, so my intent was to leave Mobile, Alabama, which is where we were in college. So I knew that I wasn't planning on sticking around Mobile because it just hadn't been that great of an experience for me toward the end of my college term. So I was ready to kind of leave there, spread my wings somewhere else. So it wasn't that I was forcing him, but I was telling him, if you are planning on doing this, you might want to expedite it, because I am about to, seriously, I graduate in a couple months and I'm out of here, seriously. So I guess he did have the ring already, which means that he was already planning to, and he just went ahead, not even an hour later, he was on one knee. So that's pretty much what happened. And it was on Easter Sunday. And so that makes it beautiful. Every Easter I remember that. Him getting on one knee with all the kind of Easter decorations or whatever behind him and popping that question. So every time I see an Easter egg, colorful egg, I think about him popping that question with that ring. It's pretty cool.
So, as I said, Corey and I met in 2006, and we were just friends, just casual friends. We had mutual friends, and he had gone, well, he was a junior. No, he was a senior. He was graduating, and I was transferring in as a junior. And we had mutual friends, and after that, they tried to hook us up. I'm not sure if that's a proper word to use, but we just remained friends. And we would always talk, we would always converse, but nothing really serious. In 2010, 2011, I had a strange dream, and it was so surreal. And I saw him, and in the dream, I'm not going to tell you all the dream, but in the dream I looked up and I was like, who is this hugging me? It felt so wholesome, and I looked up and I saw his face. I've never seen people's face before in a dream like that. And I said, oh, it is you. And I know it's going to sound strange to a lot of people, but I knew that there was something there at the time, but I was like, ooh, no, I will not even tell him about that dream. That's so, not for a lady. But anyway, at that time I knew something deeper was there, but I knew we had to take it in strides. So I like to cross my T's, dot my I's, and he's the same. So we dated a few months. We were long distance. I was finishing up my master's in Maryland. He was in Michigan, so we did long distance, and then during the summer, Skyped all the time. And then we started visiting, and so after school I couldn't find a job in Georgia, so I moved to Michigan. His parents invited me to come and stay with them for a while. Corey had just finished playing for the Detroit Panthers, so he was just now back to like a 9-to-5. So we're just trying to get settled in our career, I guess. And We dated another year. We actually lived together in abstinence. Yeah, I would not advise that to anybody. It's torturing. But during that time, living with somebody and just finding out their I guess what irks them and what does not, and just at that time I knew Corey was the one. I knew. Sometimes I feel things first, but I knew. And I said he's the same, so he likes to cross his T's, dot his I's. But I think both of us knew at the same time. But I think I'm a little bit elaborate, and so when I thought about getting married, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna need years to plan this fabulous wedding and all of that. So although I knew, I was like, okay, let's take it in stride. So during the year we lived together in abstinence, I knew, and I think he knew too. But as a man, I think I knew before him because he was just dragging his feet.
I was.
But he did show that, and he was just a little bit slow at proposing, in my opinion. But he did all the right things though.
Be honest, I mean, when I first seen her in a dental clinic, it was just, she was breathtaking. For real. I mean, I would get nervous around her. I don't know why. Anytime I was like see her, like one time I ran into her in the hospital and she was sitting eating. I was so nervous going up there to sit by her. I couldn't even eat lunch. And she just had this aura about herself that I knew that I wanted to be with her. The thing at the time was I was already married. So that was an obstacle. And it was crazy. But I just knew that I wanted to be with her.
But I wasn't with him when he was married.
No.
Just to be clear.
Yeah. She's not a homewrecker.
No.
But to be honest though, me and my ex-wife, we was already broken up anyway, so.
Why did I choose Keisha? Because she was different. I think that I was just telling her yesterday. We were talking about this yesterday. And first, I guess, it had to be the right time because I was ready at that point when I met her. And I knew that she was the one. I just had to kind of wait it out and see if she was if crazy Keisha was going to come out. So she never did, not until after I gave her the ring. But then crazy Keisha came. But she had all of the things that I was looking for. She was strong. She was independent, so it wasn't like she really needed me, but we fit well together. She was she had a lot of willpower. She would go after things and not give up. So I really, aside from her being a good-looking, sexy girl on the best-looking girl on the campus, and she happened to be with me. So that kind of made it complete, I guess you could say.
Again, I guess it was the same thing because I'm gonna tell you, when I saw him, I don't know what it was really. I just knew, and I would want to see him. Of course, I wanted to play hard to get to, but I knew I ain't want nobody else to have him. So I kind of had to balance that thing out because you don't play too hard and then you lose him. So what made me I knew I didn't want to lose him because he the love of my life is because he just was, when I first saw him, the dimples, the brown eyes, the height, And then being in that uniform, he used to wear the dental uniform.
I ain't had no stomach then either.
And I'm talking about just sharp. He was always sharp, always hair tight, creased down, had like 3 lines in the back, just fly.
I took pride
And then
in
the
my
walk that he had, he knew he had that confidence, and he knew you was looking. He worked them dimples and hit them, let the light hit them brown eyes, and he would work what he had, and it just really kept me very interested. But honestly, I've never felt like that when I've met someone. I've never felt what I felt, and I can't explain it. I just knew that I wanted to be in his life. And so I did everything I could to get him. So, like I said, he was timid. He was timid. He wasn't, and that could be because of, his first marriage, didn't work out. But I knew within my heart that he was the one.
No, that wasn't it. It was that, it seemed like you was just above my, I wasn't in your league. You was, because you was always sharp and pretty, and I was like, ain't no way she'll be interested in me. So
It was.
yeah, no.
Still is.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're right, bud.
Why I chose Nick over anyone else was mainly because, number one, he almost came with a referral because a friend of mine, Jacques, who was his best friend, but I had only known Jacques for a brief time, but he had wanted me to meet Nick, and he had tried to set us up before that, but the timing was never right because I've always been a busy person. So I was in x-ray school, I was working 2 jobs, I was a resident advisor, so I just never really had time to come over and meet. So Jacques knew me pretty well, so he knew how to get me over his house. He invited me to dinner, which always was good. Free food, I was with that. Came over there for dinner, and blew right past Nick. Nick was sitting on the couch, blew right past and went straight to the kitchen. Wasn't even paying attention to him. It wasn't until I came out that I actually looked at him and said, "Oh, Jock's friend is cute, okay." I knew he was new in town. I knew he was new to South Alabama, University of South Alabama, which is where we both attended school. And so we started talking and just figured out that we just clicked. We just talked and talked all night long, and we all left and went to a party. He and I were still talking. We sitting at the party, talking, not even dancing, not talking to anybody else. And some of the things he was saying was just like, I would do that if I was a dude. So I began to feel like, wait a minute, this is like the male version of me I'm looking at. If I was a guy, I would wear my hair like that. He had hair then. I would, wear clothes like this. This would be me. Like, I would be saying stuff like this. My swag would be on tight like that. So eventually, I just knew.
Swag was tight.
Yeah, his swag was kind of tight back then. I was digging it. He used to wear these little blue shades. He was all cool dude and stuff. So I really liked him. I liked his personality. I liked where he was coming from. I liked his down-to-earthness. I liked his drive for his future. And overall, I think I just liked his spirit. So I think we meshed. We were equally yoked from the beginning. So much that I wasn't even nervous about when we parted ways that night. I didn't even give him my number because I decided if this is really who I think this is right here, my future husband, he will find me. And sure enough, the next morning my phone was ringing. He's like, I found you. He had got my number from his friend, of course. But the point is, he found me. So that's why I chose him, inevitably, because he had some drive and he knew how to figure things out. He figured out how to get my number.
Ooh. Okay, we talked about children prior to marriage, when you wanted children. I wanted one originally, and then Corey was like, okay, about 2 or 3, and then I was like, yeah, I would be selfish to just do one because I had a large family growing up. I have 6 sisters and a brother, and I would never trade it, for the world. And I was like, okay, maybe I'll have like 2, at least I'll have a sibling. as far as the timing, we just knew, okay, in a few years, yes. So initially when we got married, we were like, yeah, in 2 years, and every year it's like in 2 years, and it's almost 6 years, and then now we're like, okay, we think it's time. Well, I started saying that first because my sister's always like, okay, you're not a young chicken anymore. So, so now now we're at that point where,
we enjoy kids too. There are a lot of
yes.
Nieces and nephews, so we definitely have practice watching them and caring for them different times. So that's always a blessing.
Yes.
So the role of a wife, to me, and what it has been, in regards to my marriage, has been support and sacrifice, because both of those play a big role. I have to do a lot of those on a daily basis. Both of those, I've got to be there to support my husband, who is the rock of the family, but although sometimes he has issues and needs an ear to speak on, a shoulder to cry on, or he doesn't cry, but I'm just saying, I never want to say he cried, but just someone to lean on, just to hear how was his day. Things happen to him too, he can't always be strong. Things piss him off, things make him mad, things hurt his feelings just like anybody else. So even though you expect your man to be strong, you still have to be there to support him when he's having a bad day. Also, the sacrifice. I mean, I've given up a lot of things that I've wanted to do because we got the kids. I can't always go out and buy a new pair of shoes because we had kids that need shoes. That happened to us just yesterday. He wanted shoes. I needed shoes. Well, I've had my shoes for like 10 years. Some of my tennis shoes I've had for 10. They still look good, but I've had them for 10 years. I wanted a new pair of shoes yesterday. So he bought my daughter shoes because she had a photo shoot today. He bought me shoes, and he did not get to buy himself shoes. And I just kind of looked at him, and then I decided today that I was able to go into my own pocket and get him some shoes. Some things I was trying to do, but I decided sacrifice, let him get him some shoes too, because I could tell he wanted some shoes too. So I think it's just all about support and sacrifice.
The role of a wife, to me, is mostly, for me, is companionship. To love me, to cherish me. Not to wait on me hand and foot. I don't get into that. I don't think that's the role of a wife. I mean, just do everything 50-50. I mean, she carried me, I carry her. Role of a wife. Like our marriage is not traditional, so a lot of people will be like, well, get in there cooked and no. Mostly I just.
But I can cook though.
Yeah, she can cook. I just mostly as a friend. I mean, cause she's the most important person to me in this world, right, man? No, really, you are. She comes before my kids, not before God though, but she comes before my kids and everybody. So I even put her over my mom's. So
well, not in the beginning, and that's understandable. That's understandable.
Anyway,
that's another story. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah, I'm done. Because, like I said,
Okay.
Yeah.
And the role of a husband to me is to love and to cherish his queen and to treat her as such.
I do.
To not necessarily have to be the main provider or this and that, but to be a provider. He can be a provider not just of finance. He can be a provider of love, security, a provider of whatever the need that I'm lacking. He's there to pick me up when I'm down, and I think because of those things that he have done, I feel like that entwined us even closer. And this this is my best friend. This is my best friend. And my role as his role, I don't want to say what my role is. His role is to make sure that I'm, loved, and he's really good in that department. I can vouch for you, baby. He loves me unconditionally, and yes, we have sex, and like I said, we talk about everything, and he's good at that. He's on, he's really good at that, and that's a big part. So,
She's nasty.
okay, but just being able to,
It's okay, you nasty.
yes, be quiet, man. It's my turn. Okay, so when our sex life, right? Okay.
Oh, good.
No, this is my, excuse me. Okay. I know that whatever it is, when I learn what he like, that's what I give him, because I'm his wife, and he need to be able to get whatever he need or want at home. And a lot of time, the problem with these females, most of us black females, is we want to run the house, we want to be the boss, we want to not give in, we don't want to, everything got to go my way. And that's the problem. That is the problem. Everything can't go your way. Marriage takes two, give and take, okay? So whatever it is, my husband, once I learn what my husband's needs are and his wants and his likes, it is my job to make sure that he gets every bit of that and not want nothing.
And we also push each other. You need that spouse to push you to succeed, in life. Like when I was going to college, I waited till I old to go to school, and I wanted to quit a couple of times, but she pushed me. And the same thing when she went to school, I pushed her. So yeah, you got to.
And I went back to school and I got my associate degree because of my husband, GI Bill, and because of him, pushing me to do it. That's something that I did not want to do, go back to school. But I'm grateful for it because it helps me. It helped me to growth in my job and promotions to have a degree. So
I say the role of a husband is likewise to be supportive of the wife and just to be there for her, treat her like the queen and be, someone that she can listen to be there, someone that can provide, protect, and just all around, to be the best friend to each other, so that's what I really feel husband comes in, as Christ loved the church, I should love her likewise and just be that person that she can always feel comfortable to talk to.
The role of a husband, I guess that could be different depending on the person, but for me, it's being the strongest person, not just physically in the family, but mentally, because it just requires a lot. When things aren't going well, you got to hold it together. When things are great, you got to enjoy the moment too, but it's just important for me as a man of my house to be as strong as I possibly can in any scenario.
The role of a wife is really to, the role of a wife is same as a partner. So I'm here to support my husband to invest in his interests and where he's heading, but we also need to be on the same page. So the role of a wife is basically to support the husband to have conversations, to trust, to love, to support, to communicate, and just be supportive.
Yeah, he's right. You need to push each other, especially when you know that your spouse, your husband, is more than what he's given. And sometimes that's going to bring on an argument, because I know from when we, like you said in the beginning, when we first started out, he has, some issues where, He said he was lazy. He admitted that, right?
Yeah, okay.
He was lazy, you know, worked and then quit and then, you know. So had we not built that, you know, that bond, all, you know, it wasn't as strong as it is now, but had we not built that bond, then that would have been my soulmate gone, you know, because I'm not willing to, you know, give him what he needs.
I think it could. Different times as far as working on each other's schedule, working on each other's moods, and timing on that, you know. But it's always good to have to make it work. You know, for guys, typically sometimes, like you always, you know, want to be able to be intimate with your wife in different times. But we understand too that there's always a time basis, a timing thing. Sometimes, you know, one of us could be tired or have a long day or a different schedule, but we have to work it out. It's all about communication, right?
Who's always tired?
I always say one of us sometimes we can be tired.
Oh,
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a communication thing. It always boils down to it.
Okay, I'm gonna let you have that.
I'll say that it has spurts. That's probably a good word for it, because if it's married without kids, no, just like college. But after kids, yeah, you're tired. You know, it's like, are the kids sleep yet? That kind of stuff. But it kind of goes up and down, I guess you could say, because you know, at some point you become adults, and you know, you can't go like, you know, or you just don't want to. Got other things going on. I guess that's a good way of putting it. What do you think?
I think you have a much better understanding for the question, does sex change after marriage, than I thought you did. But that's great, because I really thought he, you know, thought that the sex should be more. But now what I'm hearing now is that he understands why the sex might be different or not as frequent.
Mm-hmm.
So that understanding is a good thing.
Yeah,
I'm so glad to hear that you...
I don't know if it's understanding. It's more like reality. Just kind of setting in.
Just now?
Yeah.
Just with this question? Reality is just setting in, y'all.
It's been there. It's just like, okay, I just have to get it when I can, kind of thing.
It's what I've been preaching for years, but I guess he finally is just now getting it. So I'm glad you asked that question, because I'm so glad you understand now.
Okay. It's getting hot in here.
Baby, I
I guess my stay together moment would be.
I'll say our stay together moment really outside of committing at the altar was there was an event actually.
Ladies, wives do not want a lazy
the rest of my
husband.
life, I wanna spend every night doing whatever you like. And if you say that you're mine, we'll take one day at a time. Just look me straight in my eyes, say whatever you feel, keep it real, baby. Can we do this thing together?